Season of the Wish is here, and with it comes a brand new set of ritual weapons. So today, we're going to be deep diving into these new weapons and ranking them, to help you know if they're worth grinding for. Since the season just launched, I'm going to be giving you my first impressions of these weapons, which weapons have the best perks, and which ones might have good archetypes. I'll make another video on these weapons later in the season once I've had more time to test them out and give them a full breakdown on the best ones. Remember, if you find this video helpful and you like seeing build videos and other Destiny 2 helpful content, leave a like on the video and consider hitting that subscribe button. With that being said, let's jump right on into it. First up, we have the Supercluster. This is a strand pinpoint slug shotgun. There are a few bosses out there to take extra crit damage, and because of that, pinpoint slug shotguns have been used as a damage rotation, where you switch back and forth between two of them. Since they are a slug, they deal massive damage in one single pellet, leading to high crit damage. The fantastic thing about this gun in particular is that not only is it strand allowing for different weapon combos, but it can also roll with 4 times the charm and cascade point. This wombo combo allows you to ammo dump on a mini boss or a boss, and gain back free ammo in the process. I'd put on Assault Mag for the extra fire rate, making the ammo dump even quicker. Since it has 6 in the mag, if you hit all of your shots, you'll be able to proc 4 times the charm twice, meaning you get 10 shots in a row and 4 of them being free ammo. I like Cascade's point since I feel like it'll proc more often, whereas you could go for Surrounded if you want a more niche situational gun. It can also roll with Reconstruction for autoloading or Threat Detector for faster reloads if you like those better. This is the only shotgun that can roll with Cascade's point and 4 times the charm, and it will be an exceptional shotgun in the right situation. And for that reason, I'm giving it an S, since it will be able to beat out a lot of its competition when it comes to strand shotguns, and for that matter, pinpoint slug shotguns. Next up, we have the Appetence. This is the first legendary stasis trace rifle. It's definitely unique in that sense, and is worth picking up just for that reason alone. So let's talk perks. It does have a pretty good perk pool. In the first column, you can get Demolitionist, Overflow, or Enlightened Action. And in the second column, we have Headstone, Deconstruct, and Killing Tally. Deconstruct is a new perk this season, where this weapon will be able to deal extra damage to quote-unquote constructs, which will include barricades, turrets, and stasis crystals. Only time will tell if this perk will be any good. However, since this is a stasis weapon, it definitely might be good on this gun, since you could use it as a way to destroy all the crystals you create from your stasis subclass. On the other hand, you can get a roll with Headstone, which will do the exact opposite and create more stasis crystals for you. The roll that I'll be going for is a mix of utility and damage, being Demo and Headstone. Demo will allow more reloads and more grenade energy, while Headstone helps with putting out more damage as well as feed into our stasis build. Trace rifles aren't doing a ton of damage right now and are in a bit of a weird place in the meta. If they do get a buff or stasis buffs in general are good, this has a high chance of seeing a lot of game time. But as of now, it's a B for me. Next up, we have the Scatter Signal. This is a strand rapid fire frame fusion rifle. This is gonna be a spicy gun, and potentially the #1 contender for fusion rifles. This is one of the few strand fusion rifles we have in the game, and not only is it the only primary slot fusion that is craftable and has controlled burst, but it's also the only rapid fire fusion with controlled burst in the primary slot. Everyone was talking about Eremite being the new best fusion last season, and while that's true, this one is better since it's a rapid fire frame. Being that it's strand means that it opens up the energy slot for a primary weapon to synergize with our light subclasses. With Overflow and Enhanced Battery, you can get up to 18 shots in the mag, which will let you dump extra ammo into the boss if you run out of heavy. Because of its uniqueness and the fact that fusions with controlled burst are so good right now, I'm gonna be giving this the top rank. If there's only one gun you get this season, make it this one. And the final weapon in our kinetic slot is going to be the Imperative. This is a kinetic high impact frame scout rifle. Scout rifles are good, not great. With that being said, this has some pretty decent perks on it. It's directly competing against Transfiguration from Last Wish Raid, which has roughly the same perks and slightly better range. If you're looking for a kinetic scout, I'd pick this one up with either rapid hit or subsistence in the first column and explosive payload in the second. You could run kinetic tremors, however, explosive payload is a fan favorite for our long range option since it doesn't have damage fall off. I'm gonna be giving this a B rank, since it is good for a scout rifle, but I don't see Bungie going back to a scout rifle meta anytime soon. Pick it up if you want, but definitely don't prioritize it. Moving on to the energy slot, the first weapon we're going to take a look at is going to be Lethophobia. This is a void lightweight bow. I'll start with the fact that I haven't been a huge fan of bows in the past. However, that might change with this bow. It has some nasty perk combos that give this bow extra utility over its competition. First up, we have the classic Repulsor Brace and Golden Tricorn combo. Not only does this give extra damage, but it also gives more health since we'll likely be running this on a void subclass. The more interesting role in my opinion is going to be permeability combined with either disruption break or attrition orbs. Permeability is a new perk that allows the user to change the element of this weapon to match their subclass by using their class ability, giving this weapon massive utility in the right scenario. Let's say you have a Lost Sector or a Nightfall that you want to do, and it has Strand Surge, so you want to use Banner Titan. If that activity has small adds with Void Shields, you can run through this by breaking the shields, making them vulnerable to more kinetic damage if you have Disruption Break on, and then you pop your Barricade and voila, you magically have a Strand Bow bow in your energy slot that's going to be dealing extra damage because it's Strand Surge. And if you want your Void bow back, just put it away and pull it back out, and bam, it's back to Void. We have seen a perk like this before with Osmosis, but I don't like being forced to use my grenade to be able to change it, since I like to use my grenades in the right situation. So being able to use my subclass ability feels a bit better, especially on Titan, where it's just going to be your barricade. Because of its potential for utility being able to switch between your subclass element and Void, I'm going to be giving this an A rank, and it makes this weapon a must pick up for this season. The next weapon we're going to be taking a look at is going to be Scalar Potential. This is an arc rapid fire frame pulse rifle. When taking a look at the perk pool for this weapon, I'm unimpressed. In the first column, we have permeability for utility, or you could go with overflow or enlightened action for better reload. I typically like to keep my primary as an actual primary, meaning I'd rather a reload perk on a weapon like this, so I'm not really considering permeability for this weapon. I'd rather like to see a perk like Demo in the first column, since this is an arc weapon, and I love my Grenadier Titan build. In the second column, you have Golden Tricorn or Headseeker. I would have loved to see Volt Shot added to this weapon for the extra arc synergy, but it is what it is. When you have weapons like Oversoul Edict as a direct competitor with better perks, for PvP this weapon might be good, but since I mainly play PvE, this weapon's going to be a pass for me. It does have some utility with perks like permeability and attrition orbs, so for that reason, I'm going to be giving it a solid B. There are better options out there, but you could pick this one up as a utility weapon. Next weapon I'm taking a look at is going to be Optative. This is a Void precision frame hand cannon. I'll keep this one short and sweet. It's a pass for me. Word of Kuroda is the same frame with better stats and better perks. Or you can use the Target of Redacted from Season of the Deep, which has similar perks and is an aggressive frame. If you don't want to run Kuroda's End for Word of Kuroda, feel free to pick this one up. But since it does have a direct competitor with the same element, same frame, better stats, and better perks, I'm going to be giving this one a C. Next up, we have the Adhortative. This is a solar adaptive frame pulse rifle. This is only the second pulse rifle that can roll with heal clip, and for that reason alone, it's worth considering. Jurassic Green is the only other option, and it does roll with Frenzy for better reload. However, it is a rapid fire frame, which is my least favorite archetype. For this weapon, I'd highly recommend heal clip, loose change, or attrition orbs in the first column, and you can pair that with Golden Tricorn or Incandescent. Having a roll with loose change and Incandescent can be very good, since you'll be scorching targets left and right, meaning you'll pretty much have loose change always procced, giving you extra reload speed. I go with Arrowhead Break in the first slot and Flared Magwell or Ricochet rounds in the second. Since it is the only other pulse rifle that can get heal clip, and it's a better archetype in my opinion, I'm going to be giving this gun a solid A. There are some good solar pulse rifles out there, so if you have one that you like better than this one, then you can go ahead and give this one a pass, but otherwise, it's a pretty decent pickup. Next up, we have the Subjunctive. This is an arc lightweight frame SMG, and if you have the infamous Aikilos SMG, then I'm gonna say this gun is a pass. Otherwise, it's not bad. Typically, I like the aggressive frame SMGs the best, but this gun does have some solid perks. Things like Subsistence for never having to reload or Threat Detector for super fast reload are both good. And in the second column, we have Volt Shot for Arc Synergy or Golden Tricorn for extra damage. It's hard to have a utility SMG, so I'm passing on Attrition Orbs and Permeability. One for All is a solid damage perk, but not on an SMG, since you'll likely run out of ammo before actually proccing it. So I'd most likely go with Threat Detector and Volt Shot. And for the same reasons as why I gave Optative such a low ranking, I'm going to be giving this one a C. It has a direct competitor with a better frame, better perks, and better stats, but if you don't have the Aikilos SMG, then this can definitely be a solid pickup. And finally, we have our power weapon slot. There is only one option, and it's the Doom Petitioner, which is a Void Aggressive Linear Fusion. The only reason I'm saying more than one word about this weapon is for the very niche perks surrounded. All other linears are basically better. Briars can also run with Surrounded. Fire and Forget, Taipan, and Cataclysmic all have way better damage perks, with Bait and Switch, Firing Line, Frenzy, and Focus Fury. In very niche scenarios, you can run Surrounded to squeak out some extra damage, but for the most part, since it is a linear fusion, you need to be able to hit the crit to keep up your damage numbers, and you aren't going to be wanting a ton of enemies around you, making you flinch more as you're shooting. Sadly, Surrounded is the only worthwhile damage perk on this weapon. High Ground can be useful, but oftentimes DPS phases happen while below or at the boss level, so it wouldn't be proccing High Ground. Perfect Float could be good, but it is risky since missing a crit means you lose your damage buff. If you want to avoid linear, go with Taipan. Otherwise, Cataclysmic is the best option with Bait and Switch. This is going to be a solid D for me, since it has a bunch of perks that are better for other types of weapons, and linears have so many options that are way better and still available. Pick it up if you don't have a linear, otherwise stay away. Far away. And finally, I'm going to be giving you a bonus weapon. This isn't a craftable and it's not from Riven, so technically it's not a seasonal weapon, but it is a new weapon that's introduced with this season, and it's a world drop weapon. And that's going to be the Crux Termination IV. This is an arc aggressive frame rocket launcher, and the aggressive frame is the same frame as the Cold Comfort, dealing the most amount of damage. And this is going to be a pretty spicy rocket and will quickly replace my Hothead. Cold Comfort, in my opinion, will be the top of the meta, hands down, for the foreseeable future. With Envious Assassin, Bait and Switch, or Buyback, Bipod, the intrinsic ability to load an extra rocket by doing a finisher or reviving a teammate means that we would have to have a new meta-breaking perk or intrinsic ability that would be stronger than a free reload. With that being said, this weapon is no joke. Bipod has been buffed since its launch and is doing comparable damage. It also rolls with explosive light if you don't want to worry about having to proc bait and switch on another rocket launcher. You can also get Envious Assassin, meaning that paired with Bipod, you can have up to 5 rockets in one mag, allowing you to be able to dump a ton of rockets, doing decent damage on the boss. If Envious Assassin isn't your thing, you can roll with Reconstruction, allowing for auto-loading holster and up to double the mag size. As the new king of the Arc rocket launcher, this rocket's gonna get ranked at a S for me. Cold Comfort is still definitely better, but it's nice to have another option for an Arc rocket launcher that's gonna be able to keep up with some of the numbers that you can put out with either Cold Comfort or Apex Predator. It is a random drop, so keep an eye out for that god roll. There you have it, all the seasonal weapons ranked and with an added bonus of a world drop weapon to keep an eye out for. Let me know in the comment section which weapons are you most excited to get your hands on and what rolls are you going for. For me, it's going to be the Strand Fusion Rifle with controlled bursts and overflow. That's going to be it for me. Peace out.